The air hung heavy with humidity and the smell of frying garlic. A smattering of tourists sat scattered around the restaurant, sipping iced teas and fanning themselves with paper menus. In the heart of the bustling city, nestled among tailor shops and street food stalls, this oasis of wooden tables and red gingham tablecloths was my sanctuary. It was here that I shared stories and laughter over steaming bowls of cow soy, the coconut curry noodle soup that had become my lunchtime ritual. I had come to this city seeking solace from the chaos of Bangkok, hoping to reconnect with my own narrative in the tranquil embrace of the North. Little did I know that fate had a peculiar twist in store, a tale that would echo the sentiment of our favorite Thai proverb, "Be careful of the good things in life." Good. It all began with a chance encounter, a collision of paths that felt orchestrated by destiny itself. Among the regulars at my restaurant was a man named James. In his early 30s, hailing from London, James exuded a restlessness that resonated with the nomad in me. Over bowls of khao soi, we traded stories of our travels, our dreams, and our reasons for seeking refuge in this corner of the world. He spoke of escaping the gray skies of London and the soul-sucking monotony of his corporate job. I listened, nodding and understanding, for I, too, had once sought refuge from life's demands. As the weeks passed, our bond deepened, strengthened by shared meals and the comforting routine of our weekly lunches. One day, James dropped a bombshell. He had fallen in love, and the object of his affection was none other than Dao, a woman he had met through a mutual friend. Dao, with her infectious laughter and enigmatic smile, had captured James's heart. And now he was preparing to introduce her to me, eager to see if she would captivate my own imagination. Our meeting with Dao was everything James had promised and more. We met at the same restaurant where our friendship had blossomed, and as she entered, a hush fell over me. There was something about her presence, a magnetic charm that drew me in. James introduced us with a flourish, and then I was lost in conversation, captivated by her tales of growing up in the North and her dreams for the future. The lunch stretched on, filled with laughter and the clinking of glasses. And by the time we said our goodbyes, I knew James was smitten. Over the next few weeks, James became a regular fixture at Dao's home. Their love story unfolded like the petals of a flower, slow, graceful, and undeniably beautiful. He would often regale me with stories of their dates, their adventures, and the deep connection they shared. I listened, my heart swelling with happiness for my dear friend. To see him so enamored, so alive, was a sight that warmed my soul. Then came the unexpected twist, the moment that shattered the tranquility of our lives in Chiang Mai and plunged us into the labyrinth of secrets and hidden agendas. It happened on a Friday afternoon when James stopped by the restaurant, his face ashen, his eyes filled with a turmoil that sent chills down my spine. "You must help me," he said, his voice strained. "Dao, she's gone." My heart clenched at his distress. "What do you mean, gone?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. James explained that Dao had disappeared the night before, leaving behind no trace, no answers, and most importantly, no communication. It was as if she had evaporated into thin air. In the days that followed, the mystery deepened. We scoured the city, retracing Dao's steps, questioning her friends, and even enlisting the help of local authorities. But each lead ended in a dead end. With every passing hour, the worry etched deeper lines on James's face, mirroring the turmoil in his heart. As the search for Dao intensified, I found myself drawn into the vortex of James's despair. I saw the raw, unguarded vulnerability beneath his usual confident demeanor, and it broke my heart. I had watched him fall in love with such abandon, such joy, and now I was witnessing the agonizing disintegration of that happiness. One evening, as we sat in the familiar setting of our lunch spot, James let out a shaky breath. "Do you think I made a mistake?" he asked, his voice cracking. "A mistake," I echoed, searching for the right words. "How do you mean?" James looked at me, his eyes pleading for understanding. Tao, she may be gone, but the feelings remain. He paused, then continued in a low voice. I feel like a fool, like I was too quick to judge, too hasty in my assumptions. He told me about his growing unease in Tao's village, the subtle signs he had missed, the whispers he had ignored. He spoke of his longing for Chiang Mai, for the open spaces and the familiar sounds, and how he had mistaken that homesickness for love. As James poured his heart out, I felt a surge of empathy wash over me. I understood his confusion, the way his heart had led him down a path that now seemed shrouded in shadows. There was a heavy silence as James finished his tale, and I knew there was only one thing I could do, so I reached across the table and took his hand in mine. James, I said, my voice firm yet gentle, you are not a fool. What you felt for Tao was real. And sometimes, I added, love takes unexpected turns. Tao may have played a part in this, but you played one too. You allowed yourself to be swept away, and in doing so, you opened your heart to a world you weren't fully prepared for. My words hung in the air, a delicate balance between honesty and compassion. I could see the weight of my words settling upon James, and I hoped they would serve as a guiding light in his moment of despair. We spent the rest of the evening talking, not just about Tao or the uncertainties that lay ahead, but about life, dreams, and the resilience of the human spirit. As the restaurant emptied and the sky outside darkened, I walked James home. We strolled in silence, the quiet companionship a balm to his troubled soul. When we reached his doorstep, he turned to me, his eyes shining with unshed tears. "Thank you," he whispered. "For what?" I asked, genuinely puzzled. "For everything," he replied, his voice thick with emotion. "For being my friend, for listening, for understanding." I placed a hand on his shoulder, feeling the tremors that ran through him. "We are friends, James," I said softly, "and friends are there for each other, especially when it hurts." He nodded, unable to speak past the lump in his throat. As I turned to leave, he called out, "Wait." He hesitated, then asked, "Do you think I will ever see Tao again?" I met his gaze, my heart aching for him. "I don't know, James," I admitted honestly, "but if you need me, I'll be here." With that, I left him standing on his porch, wrestling with a grief that threatened to consume him. That night, as I lay in bed, thoughts of James and Tao swirled in my mind. I prayed that they would find their way back to each other, if it was meant to be, if it was safe. But most of all, I wished for James to heal, to find peace in the aftermath of this whirlwind romance. Days turned into weeks, and still there was no sign of Tao. James, though heartbroken, began to piece his life back together. He threw himself into work, reconnected with old friends, and slowly, painstakingly, began to heal. One afternoon, as I sipped my coffee in the restaurant, watching the familiar faces come and go, I saw him walking towards me. It was James. He was different, his shoulders slumped, his eyes carrying the weight of 1,000 untold stories. I watched him sit down, and without a word, I went to him. "James," I asked softly, "what brings you here today?" He looked up, his gaze intense. "I need to tell you something," he began, his voice hoarse as if unused for a long time. "About Tao." I nodded, bracing myself for whatever news he might bring. James told me that he had received a letter from Tao, postmarked from a village near the Cambodian border. In that letter, written in shaky handwriting, Tao confessed that she had been living a double life. She had been engaged to another man, a man from her village, and had been seeing James in secret, torn between two worlds. She chose tradition, James said quietly, as if stating a fact, stripping away any hint of resentment. "So where is she now?" I asked, knowing that his answer would be the final chapter in this saga. James took a deep breath. "She is getting married next week," he said, the words hanging in the air like a solemn vow. "The man from her village, the one she's to marry. He's a good man, James added as if reading my thoughts. Dao says he's kind, hard-working, and loves her. I listened, my heart aching for James, for the love he had held so dearly. But I also saw a flicker of acceptance in his eyes, a quiet dignity replacing the pain. "And you?" I asked gently. "What will you do?" James looked at me, his eyes filled with a newfound resolve. "I will go to her wedding," he said, his voice steady. "I want to wish her happiness." In that moment, I saw not the man who had been broken, but one who was mending, piecing himself back together with quiet strength. As the days passed, the memory of Dao and her whirlwind romance faded into the tapestry of James's life, becoming a thread in the rich fabric of his journey. James, with his indomitable spirit, went on to explore new horizons, to love again, to laugh again. He kept his promise and attended Dao's wedding, offering her his best wishes and a silent prayer for her happiness. Life had a way of balancing its scales, of testing and shaping hearts until they emerged stronger, wiser, and more resilient. And in the heart of Chiang Mai, over steaming bowls of khao soi, James and I shared stories of our journeys, forever bound by the wisdom that only life's detours can teach.